Bare necessities, simple bare necessities. Do-do-do-do. How you doing? Greetings and salutations. I figured out, I'm sure you might have figured it out too. Huh? I see a lot of people asking themselves this question. You may have this question, you may have figured it out. You might say to me, oh, shut up, I already figured that one out. Well, if so, then good for you. The actual cause of human polarization. Yeah? Man, humanity is really polarized. And it depends on, too, where you go. There are certain societies where there is a whole lot of collectivity on various levels, and not so in the West. The comments that I see on various places, like, you can see how polarized. People think the United States is really bad, and of course it is really bad. I see an enormous amount of it out of Canada. I see a titanic amount of it out of UK and Australia. By the way, having lived in Russia, one of the few English stations we'd get was the BBC. Man, the propaganda from the BBC is way worse than anything the USA has got. It's probably way worse now. But here's a simple reason. I'm trying to be very even-handed on this one due to human polarization. In explaining this simply without overstepping the bounds. Just trying to be, don't want to step on anybody's toes. But this is not the synopsis. I'd like to start off with this. I'm being careful with my words here. Is that, I've said this before, really everybody is living in a little nutshell or a little bubble, sniffing their own flatulence, not literally, but almost essentially so. We've watched certain things we like. Of course, all things we like and we don't like, right? I don't like fish. I don't like seafood. We all have our likes and dislikes. But in catering to humanity, because there are way too many, just take, for example, cars out there. There's no reason, this is one example among millions, there's no reason there has to be thousands of different types of vehicles, yeah? If you need a pickup truck for work, let's have 4 or 5 of those, 4 or 5 different versions of the RAV4, 4 or 5 different versions of the Corolla. We all have this stuff where we can have a la carte. And where you go in the world, there's more of it and less of it. There's a whole lot less of it in Russia. When I lived there, for example, we all blame Hollywood for this, about how could these people think. It's easy for us to blame people in general, whether that be Hollywood, but those people are just stupid. They're just fools. And that may very well be the case, but most of it is not due to primordial agnosis or learned ignorance, is that people, especially the more money that you have, are able to isolate themselves and really live in their own little nutshell, sniffing their own flatulence. I don't mean that literally, almost literally though. And we can't certainly blame all of Hollywood for this. We can blame like 99.9% as the most glaring examples. Like, how could people think something so ignorant? There are outliers of this. I can only think of a few. I'm sure there's more than a few, like Tom Selleck and Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner, I think he has a big ranch in Montana. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and he kind of knows the way the world works. It all has to get down to people that actually understand the way that it is. And of course, now that everybody's playing video games, seemingly so, I know people my age generally are not playing video games. I certainly do not at all. But people are so caught up in their own little fantasy worlds, and if it's not video games, I can see people in grocery stores with a whole family, and I'm not casting blame on this one way or the other, although I might secretively inside my own head. You see the whole family wearing face diapers, like, just even today, it's like, I'm not going to cast aspersion. If you want to wear your face diaper, that's fine. Don't care, none of my... You can tell they're all watching the same news channel. MSNBC, CNN. They just have this mentality. They don't know the way the world works. if you're a halfway intelligent person, and you got your head screwed on correctly, not completely slanted and off kilter, you know what I'm talking about. So many people, they don't know the way the world works. They just don't. They're oblivious. They're literally living in their own nutshell. They have a Sirius satellite in their car. They tune in to the same propaganda that pets their fur the right way. I don't know if you know this or not. I don't claim to be a knife maker or a sword maker, obviously so, but the only way you make a truly sharp sword and a sharp knife is you have to sit there and hammer the heck out of it, and you have to sharpen it against various different grits. Modernly with belt sanders and then with sharpening stones, and this is how you make something sharp. Everybody out there is duller than a box of Jell-O, a carton of Jell-O or yogurt. People are as sharp as yogurt these days. And it's not that is inherent to their being most of the time. It's that they don't know the way the world works. They're so isolated in their own little bubble that they have got no comprehension. Like, if the poo hit the fan tomorrow, they have no idea how to build anything, fix anything, do anything. Every form of survival skill is completely, they're clueless. Some people are able to make it through their entire lives being utterly clueless about how the world works. There's people out there, I'll give you a perfect example, and there are a million examples of this, okay? These rich Hollywood types, and I'm not going after Hollywood, telling everybody else that they don't deserve the right to have self-defense items. And these are the same people surrounded by, pack and bodyguards. What level of hypocrisy is that? They literally in their own head, it's not that it could be entirely propagandized in their own mind, but they literally believe it. Usually it's hypocrisy, however. They know better. Even they themselves know they have bodyguards that are packing around them, right? So rules for thee, but not for me. I deserve the right to have bodyguards, but as far as all you low-income peons out there, you don't have the right to defend your life, your wife, your children. I was like, yeah, I do. It's in the Constitution there. I sure do have that right. But that kind of they don't even practice what they preach. Quite often this is hypocrisy, but they are literally quite that oblivious. I've met so many people in life that they are so isolated in their own bubble, they have no idea at all how the world works. Not even one. And the reason why this is so bad now, like I said, everybody has an a la carte life. Yeah? We have 10 million different choices of your configuration of your iMac. You go to the grocery, like when I brought Russians here, when you go to a Russian grocery store, it's like you got bread, milk, and chicken, and cheese. And usually there wasn't all of that. Choices, huh? They come over here and they were just like, they couldn't believe there's like 100 different types of olives you could choose from, 30 different types of milk. You're like, what? We have an a la carte lifestyle such that we're able to isolate ourselves, living in our own little nutshell, sniffing flatulence, our own. And there's just the exponential rate at which people are living like that, so isolated, they don't know how the world works. Back in the day, and of course, there were extreme examples where people were isolated, like, the super entitled, the super wealthy. You never even had to leave their own gardens. People would wait on them hand and foot, literally, wash their feet, wash their bottom, do everything. They didn't even know how to cook. There are examples of that, but that is the top 1/1 billionth of 1%. Well, it has gone from the ancient, well, not ancient days necessarily, but did stretch back into the ancient days, to the medieval times, where that was the top 1/1,000,000th of 1%. Super, super rich that, were living in their own nutshell, leading a pampered life. They don't know how the world works. They know nothing about the real world. Now, it's gotten to the point where anybody that has a regular job, most people, are able to pick what it is we watch, pick what it is we read, pick what it is we eat, and everybody is like the super mega rich of the medieval all the way back to the ancient days. But 99.99% of the people back in the day had to live among others, including the rich, except for the super wealthy, super, super wealthy. They're living in the castle up on the hill. Humans inherently know what is right and wrong. If you're believing some sort of radical twaddle, nonsense, hooey, people would take it out of you very quickly, because people that are isolated from natural order and truth. They really are. The truth never, hits them in the face like a wet flounder. They don't have to suffer that indignity. I don't want to know the truth. I'm living a healthy lifestyle up here on the hill. I have my servants, and, I watch what I want to watch. I read what I want to read. These people, for nearly all of their life, are isolated from natural order, truth, common sense, and natural order. But since human beings inherently know what is right and what is wrong, up until, actually all of this started, there are many reasons for this. This started around about the 80s. There's the mega rich in the United States, for example, up until the 80s, of course, and there still is the mega rich. But even these people were not so out of touch with the rest of the world that they didn't know, the truth of common sense. Now people are able to isolate themselves from common sense. They work at home, play video games, watch the propaganda network. Well, this propaganda agrees with me. These people, they never have to be confronted with truth, natural order, and common sense. This is the reason why the entire Western world, not the entirety of it, but a great deal of it, is so insanely polarized. These people are never put in the position where they actually have to confront natural order, truth, common sense. It offends them. You see it and I see it. The reason why there's so many people out there that we call them soy boys, we got all sorts of derogatory names for this stuff. But the core of 99% of the causation for it is isolation on many, many different levels. These people isolate themselves from things they don't want to know. Well, I don't like that. I don't want to watch that anymore. They're not part of society. They think they are, but they're not. They play video games, they're isolated. They only make contact with other people that agree with them. Twitter's a perfect example, which is the most, of course, that's going to change. I'm no fan of Elon Musk, but Twitter was already the most evil website on the internet. Where people interact these days is social media. And they'll just block somebody. Well, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the truth. Even though they don't acknowledge that. They're just going to block you. I don't want to hear that. La, 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 la. That is really, 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 really bad for society. Really bad. This is the reason why, 99% of the reason why, there's so much polarization these days. Humanity, and by saying humanity is really no different than saying society. Society and humanity are de-evolving. And they really are. People are so inherently devoid of common sense, wisdom, having a logical mind. They're so completely separated from natural order and fundamental truth that even the dumbest person knows. And I am one that fully understands the difference between episteme, i.e. empirical knowledge, and wisdom. You could take the absolute most illiterate, dumbest person you could possibly think of on this earth. Maybe they've never wore shoes even. Doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to write. But they know the way the world works. Yeah? You know, they could look at the sun and tell what time it is. They know how to grow their own food. They know how to do basically everything. They could fix anything. They might not be literate. But these people know natural order. The people that think they're in the intelligentsia, well, I went to college. That doesn't mean anything. It means you memorized a bunch of garbage, you regurgitated it, it doesn't make you smart, and it certainly doesn't make you wise. So now you have all these people that think they're entitled. And they're not entitled to anything. They don't want to work, they're lazy. You think I'm lazy? I mean, I'm fat. I'm basically fat and tattoo ink. But I know how to fix things and do things and build things, and I work 7 days a week. I had 2 people that wanted to meet me today. They were in the area, and I felt bad telling them that, but it's like, I have a lot of leather work to do, I have live stream, I have videos, I have to read a bunch of emails and comments. I'm literally so insanely busy, I'm running around in a circle, you know, like a crazed chicken or something. So I couldn't even meet them. Like, come on, let's go out for coffee. I mean, I'd like to, but I can't. The world is isolated and radically polarized, and this is a recipe for disaster. I don't think a disaster is coming. I know it's coming because society is nearly completely broken down. People are so isolated, and this isolation causes polarization. Big time. People used to have to interact with each other, but now people just interact online. But they don't really interact online, and that's not real interaction. And if they don't like, I don't want to hear that, I'm going to block you. You want to talk about cancel culture? I mean, cancel culture blocking you. I don't want to hear that. I don't like to hear that because it makes me think. We keep blaming Hollywood for this type of person. They're a really bad, you know, a great example of a bad example. But the reason why, you know, the plant grows crooked in Hollywood, and I'm just using that as an example, it's spread everywhere, especially in Western society, is because these people are completely and utterly isolated. They hang out with people that agree with their nonsense, and they mutually agree with each other's nonsense. They don't know how the world works. They don't understand anything about natural order or fundamental truth or what is inherently self-evident. Like anybody with a half a brain and 2 eyes, like, well, that's obvious. To them, it's like, I don't believe it. I got a different... That's a luxury. They have that luxury. But that luxury has trickled down to even, you know, the lowest income people. They're just going to sit at home, work at home, play video games, live in a fantasy world, interact online, only with people they agree with and they agree with them, block everybody else out, and living in a fantasy world, no idea how things work. And that is the reason, 99% of the reason why humanity is polarized. In a nutshell. The same nutshell that they're living in, sniffing their own flatulence, by the way. Not literally, although kind of literally. Yeah, tell me you don't agree with me. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'd like to see that one because I'm not wrong. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.